Good morning. Welcome to our next edition of our Skype broadcast. I'm Angela Donahue on the Skype for Business product marketing team. We are just now recovering from Ignite from last week. I also have a special guest with me, Jason Moss from Logitech, who's a Senior Director of Video Collaboration. Jason, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm recovering from Ignite as well.
Exactly. So we want to thank everyone. Today we're here to talk about our new next generation of Skype Room Systems, formerly named Project Rigel. If you weren't at Ignite, we have a lot of great stuff to show you today, including most of this will be a demo, so you can see everything hands-on yourself, and Logitech's different bundle solutions for meeting room spaces. So let's start off and talk about why we actually went into creating this type of solution. I think we all know that people have pain points of meeting rooms. One, finding something affordable for your meeting space, as well as something that's scalable and works for all types of meeting rooms. We know that 97% of meeting rooms today only have a phone and a projector or a display. And so you're not able to really get a full engaging and productive experience for those remote participants. We also struggle with starting meetings on time and having it really simple and not fussing with a bunch of cords and dial-ins. And so Microsoft, and together with our partners, have tried to create a solution. And again, we're calling that the new next generation of Skype Room Systems. One reason we partnered with Logitech, of course, is because they are an industry leader in this space, and they are a trusted enterprise-grade global company. You want to talk a little bit more about Logitech's capabilities?
Sure, yeah. So this was a natural partnership between Microsoft and Logitech for the goals that was trying to be accomplished, being simple, easy to use, intuitive, but then also reach those 97% of rooms that don't have anything today. So Logitech, we've been for about the past 4 to 5 years, been really focused on creating great meeting room experiences with our conference cam line that extends from the huddle room up to mid to large size rooms. And it's really what people know about Logitech. It's easy to use, simple, inexpensive, just very intuitive, which also helps it get mass adoption across the user base and also affordable to deploy. So that's why it was a natural partnership for this project.
Yeah, this is great. And they, again, will be our first partner. They're shipping in the next few weeks, and it's available to reserve today. We'll give you a little bit more information on that. So let's jump into why this is important for our customers, why this is beneficial to you. First, we have our Skype Room Systems and how you can transform any space into a Skype meeting space. And so what we'll show you in a moment is how we actually transform this area, which you've already kind of known to see as our broadcast area, into a Skype Room System with the actual Skype Room Systems and Logitech SmartDock here. So we've actually are going to show you how we do that and how it scales from any space like this is a huddle space, is an open area, all the way up to a large conference area. Logitech will be providing different bundled solutions for these types of rooms, large and small. So Jason actually brought some toys in from Logitech to help show us what different devices we have. Jason, you want to share some of those with us?
Sure, absolutely. Let's talk about some of the products we have here today. So what we have connected to the SmartDock is our Logitech group system, which consists of a camera and a speakerphone unit. Even though they look like two separate pieces, this is all just one piece together. So the camera is a high-powered 1080p 10x lossless zoom camera with pan-tilt zoom, great for big conference rooms. And then the speakerphone, great, fantastic audio, beamforming array, echo cancellation, all these great things. In this particular device, it's the second generation of our product. Actually comes with expanded mics, so you can go all the way up to a 20-person meeting room for this. What you're actually looking at me today on right now is our Conference Cam Connect. That's actually the video feed you're getting right now, and they've been using these Skype broadcast meetings. This is perfect for the huddle room. Good for like 5 to 6 people. You put it in, there's the speaker actually is on here and the microphone, so it's an all-in-one contained unit. So really easy to deploy and get out there in the market. Then we actually do offer the cameras standalone. So if you do have a bunch of different audio solutions you may have already invested, like drop mics, or you've built microphones into the actual tables, but you want to video enable the room, all you have to do is add the camera. That's one of the great things about the SmartDock solution that we created with Microsoft, is that it leverages your existing investment. If you've already spent money on different audio and video solutions, as long as you can convert it to a USB, it's going to work with the SmartDock. However, this is a set of Skype Room Systems certified devices, which means you're going to get a fantastic experience both from the video and the audio quality. And it's a great range, kind of starting from around $2,000 of a bundle with the huddle room, but even just going into a large, about 20-person meeting room with the extended mics, the speakerphone, and the camera, you're still only looking at around $3,000 for the SmartDock, the room solution, and our peripherals. So very affordable to get to those other 97% of rooms.
Next pillar we want to talk about is the how easy it is to actually join Skype for Room Systems meeting, one-touch join, and how easy also it is to bring in remote participants, to project instantly to anyone that's on the call without fussing with any wires or anything like that as well. And then if you also want to project in the room, there's an HDMI ingest as well. We're going to show you all of that in a moment. The last thing we also want to mention is how easy this is for IT admins. So it's a Windows 10 device. It's going to be a lockdown Skype app. And so really easy. It's going to be incorporated into your current workflows. And so it's something familiar. It's going to have low user training because everyone's kind of already familiar with that Skype for Business scenario. And we're really just bringing the Skype for Business experience now into the meeting rooms so you have a consistent and full experience. So we're super excited to kind of jump in and give you some demos of how this is working in action live in our area here. I'm going to invite Albert Koyman here, who's our senior PM on our engineering team, to help show you some of this stuff along with Jason.
Hello. Let's actually do some demonstrations. But before we get there, so this is a dock. So tell me a little bit more about this dock.
Okay, it's not just a dock, it's a smart dock.
It's a smart dock.
It's so much more than a dock. We've done a lot of care to really enable the user experience that you have talked about from the software side of easy to deploy, easy to manage, secure, reliable, and try to manifest that into the actual physical implementation of the SmartDock altogether. So a couple cool things. One, you see the Surface Pro that's encased in here. What you'll also notice is that there's no really exposed screws or anything like that. So IT can kind of take this, lock it down, make it very secure so you can leave these devices in the room.
And then it has a Kensington Lock as well.
Yes,
right?
it does. Right here on the side.
Yeah.
There's a Kensington Lock in here also that you can do that. It's also made so you can also bolt it to the table.
Ah, that's awesome. And the screws you spoke about, so if I bring in a screwdriver, can I start taking this thing apart?
No, you can have hex screws too. So we'll give you your choice of what type of screws you want to.
Okay, and it comes with a screwdriver included,
yes,
right?
It comes with the screwdriver included.
So you need to be very creative in order to start peeling this thing apart and essentially take away the Surface Pro.
Absolutely, yes, because you have a nice, valuable device here in the room. So once you want to lock it down, we want to make it really nice and easy to use. So it's at a nice angle that you can see, touch really simply, but it actually swivels. So it can go a full 180 degrees in each way. So once you're sitting there, you're not just starting the screen, the meeting itself. As you'll demonstrate, you'll be interacting with it over the course of time. What you also notice is that in the back, it actually does a lot of cable management in terms of bundling everything together and makes it a nice clean way where we can kind of move the cables off of there.
Yeah, and here we chose to actually connect all the cables to the base, but you also have an extender box. Explain me the logic of the extender box.
So the logic of the extender box, well, one, we're trying to do mass deployment of these. So we want to keep the costs down as much as possible. So we built this product that can work in your huddle rooms, 5 to 6 people, and you want to deploy something. But then it also needs to be flexible to go into the bigger rooms. So if you want to go to the bigger rooms and add more equipment, we actually have an extender box which will come out with a single cable, cold molded cable that'll come out and then you can mount underneath the table, which will give you an additional set of ports that you can add more peripherals to and also make your installation very clean and seamless.
So let's talk a little bit about the ports. So what are the ports that are actually available in the base that we have here without the extender box?
So what you have is your HDMI out.
Yeah. So that's this one. Then that's.
Oh, that's the HDMI in.
Oh, that's the HDMI in. Okay. Yes.
So well, to talk about the HDMI in, people still want to have a very simple experience where you just want to walk in and share your content.
Yep.
And they may not want to join a Skype meeting at that time. You just want to be able to do it.
And that makes the dock actually smart, right? Because the dock is not just a bunch of ports, but there's actually a wired ingest card in there.
Yes, essentially a graphics card is built into the dock itself, and that's been a lot of work between Logitech and Microsoft to make that experience a good one, to be able to bring that in and share that content and make it look great up on a big screen. So that's a really big feature of this. But of course, if you want to share wirelessly, you can always join a Skype meeting, share content that way.
Yeah.
But people just want that physical connection.
Yeah, the other HDMI port that you spoke about is actually hooking it up to a screen or a projector. So there are actually two HDMI ports in there.
Yes.
So we are using currently one.
Yes.
But we have a roadmap, and by the beginning of next year, we actually expect that we also will support two screens. So that's why there are two. But those two are in there already.
Yes, they are. So as part of our collaboration, Logitech and Microsoft, we're not just talking about the product today, we're talking about how SRS is going to evolve over the course of time. So this SmartDock is going to grow with you. Mm-hmm. The hardware is built and capable of all the additional features that you may be adding over the course of time. Perfect example is that going from a single screen to a dual screen solution. It's already ready to go for you.
Yeah, and let's actually call out the other one. We spoke a lot about the wired ingest.
Yes.
But actually the hardware is already capable to do wireless ingest, but we are just not fast enough to release our software.
Yes.
So let's be very clear about that.
Yes.
Wireless ingest is coming as well.
Yes.
But at this point in time, if you want a reliable solution, just plug in the cable that always works, is part of the normal routine of people. So we support that as well.
Absolutely. Just hitting that very simple experience of most people just want to walk into the room and be able to share content.
Then let's talk about the devices that you showed just a moment ago. If we are looking at it from that perspective, there's a bunch of USB ports in there.
Yes.
So you are actually connecting the cameras via USB. That's correct, right?
Yes. So our solutions will fit via USB. Our conference cam line of devices actually only take a single USB, and that'll connect both the audio and the video, which is really nice, helps reduce on the cabling. Within the extender box, for anybody who is familiar with our group series, there's typically a central hub that everything single cable connects into and does one USB, but we actually built that hub into the extender box again to clean up cabling, make sure it's easy to put in there.
Cool. So then there's one more little light shining at us that is over there. So what is that for?
So this is a proximity sensor. So if we were to walk into this room, what initially would happen is this screen would go off on the Rigel system and also the TV screen. So we built it so when you walk into the room, this screen and the TV screen will both light up. So you're saving energy when you're not in the room, but it's a nice large sensor. So hopefully before you even sit down, the system is awake and ready for you to go.
Yep.
So there's further over there.
Yeah, there's the little light, and that's actually the proximity detector. So when people walk into the room, it just lights up, and it also turns on the television. So the displays that we are using typically are capable. Those are more the industrial displays than the consumer displays. They're capable of going to sleep, and that saves a lot of energy actually as well.
Absolutely.
So
feel good about being good citizens.
Yes, and then there's one other thing. So you spoke about that one cable that you have with the group that actually connects both audio as well as video. We actually also made it that it is possible to control the audio on both sides, essentially, right? So it's a hit control. So if you want to control it from the center of the room, it's possible, but it also actually synchronizes with the device itself. So that's important thing as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's the biggest frustration when people start using a software-based communications tool, but are connecting it with a peripheral, is they might go on mute on their client, but they might put their device on mute and then they're trying to unmute and they don't know which they got coordinated. So really key is that there is that coordination. If I mute our device, it mutes this. If I unmute here, it unmutes that device. So you never have to worry about it. It's all seamless. It's all integrated. Also, the call answer, the hang up function will work. And that's especially important too, because even in a bigger room, this may be down at one end, but let's say you're in a long table where there's 20 people there. You might have the speakerphone in the center, and then you might have an extension mic at the far end of the table. If somebody really wants to have a quick mention of something and wants to go on mute, they can just hit the device in front of them and it'll mute the whole system and you can take it off. So really important for the user experience to make sure that is all coordinated and working.
Yeah, exactly. So let's actually walk through the UX. If you look at the UX, you can see there's the calendar of all the meetings, and that's effectively what you're doing normally. You are scheduling a meeting, and you're scheduling that meeting as something inside Outlook. So inside Outlook, you invite people, but with us, you also invite the room.
Yeah.
So the room has been provisioned. We will come back to that in a moment. As a mailbox and has a Skype account, has a phone number, all those things are there. And that means that actually this whole device can also replace the conference phone. Mm-hmm. So if you're looking at the meetings that are scheduled here, if I were not to come in and do a scheduled meeting, I actually could go here and I could go to the dial pad and I could dial whatever phone number that I have. So if I would like to call my cell phone, I would do, maybe I should not start showing everyone my cell phone, but nevertheless, it's possible. So it would have been possible to do that. So that's an important part as well, because if you're looking at this solution, it's starting under $2,000, right? So, and if you look what it's in there already, first of all, we spoke about the wired ingest.
Yeah.
We spoke about that it saves energy because it actually goes to sleep when it doesn't detect people in the room. But it also replaces your conference phone.
Yeah, too many times I've seen this at countless customers where you have an old speakerphone sitting in the middle of the room, and then you have another speakerphone that's for your video conferencing system. And so this eliminates the need for that. All you have is one nice, clean, cost-effective USB-based speakerphone that has great quality on it, but you're not paying for the additional extra costs of it being a SIP-enabled phone because you have all that functionality right here.
Yeah. So, and then many people ask me, okay, hey, I don't have. I'm in the United States, or So, and I don't have the PSTN calling from Microsoft. So how does it actually work? And it's very important to understand, once you have hooked up Skype for Business, even if it's a server and it's hooked up to the telephony network, still it can replace your conference phone, right? So as long as you attach a phone number to the room, whether that is on-prem and it's hooking up to your existing PSTN infrastructure, or if it's in the cloud and you're using Microsoft's PSTN calling, it actually works as well. All right, so let's actually see what we can do next. So we say we would like to imitate the normal scenario. So the normal scenario is that people potentially walk into the room and they don't have a meeting.
Yes.
They just want to talk. So let me actually see if I can get that demonstrated. So I brought my laptop here. Here it is. And it doesn't log in now because it says my fingers are dirty, but here we go. So here we have this cable. Here I've got a port. So what happens when I actually insert the cable in my port? At that very moment, it actually switches, and it should now, of course, project. So I go to project, I go to duplicate, and it did not detect. That is. Let's actually go to. All right, that is a demo that we should have tested a little bit more accurately, but it should have worked. So I'm sorry for that one. All right, so then what is the other scenario? The other scenario is, of course, I can join a scheduled meeting. So what is characteristic to the particular meeting at this very moment? You actually did this one-touch join. So in that very moment, it actually is in the meeting, and here we immediately have all the people that are here. So we have Paul logged in and Duncan, etc. Now, if we are looking at this whole list of participants, let's actually talk a little bit about that. So in the list of participants, what is happening is that you actually can control whatever is in there, what their rights are. So you can make them an attendee so that they cannot take over the presentation. Very handy always when I am joining the meeting. You can lock the video spotlight. I will come back to that one. But also what is very important is I can mute or unmute people. So if I unmute Paul at this very moment, he could be able to say something, and then at that very moment, we would be able to hear him. He can do that, of course, in his Skype for Business client as well. So here we've got the participants list, and we have full control over everyone. So Angela is, for example, not muted. Now, we also are able to control the layout. So I do not know if we actually can switch to see a shot of the screen over there. So if we take a look at the front of the room screen, at that very moment, you actually are able to change the layout. So just a moment, at this moment, we have the UX of the PowerPoint, and you have all the people at the side. At Ignite, we actually showed you the new Mac client, and you can see that we are doing something else. So we are also, when we are focusing very much on the video call, what we are doing is we are making sure that the video is end-to-end. So here we have 4 people. Those 4 people are actually the people that we have in the particular meeting. And there is no blue space. Like in the first generation of Skype Room Systems, we can actually see the UX of the video. So that has changed. So there's not that much blue space. The other thing which we can do is we actually can lock the spotlight. So Angela is sitting in her personal room. So let's actually take a look. We go to Project Rigel 13, and I'm going to actually lock the video spotlight on her. At that very moment, she would be actually in this presentation in full screen. So if you would have some exec that would need to get full attention, or you just like looking at Angela, sorry, I should not have said that one. But nevertheless, it is possible to actually lock this video spotlight. And you can do that, again, you can do that both from your client as well as your other people. So now we are going back to the content view. So here is the presentation, and the presentation is there. Typically, a presentation is controlled by the people who are in the meeting. But one of the things that you also can do here is you can actually control the content. First of all, what happens is when you send out a meeting invite and you're in Office 365, this is a feature that's only in Office 365, and you attach the PowerPoint right away, at that very moment, when you do the invite, this content will be uploaded to the meeting. And if you maintain that file and you actually update that file, actually the content is updated. So you attach the file, the content is updated. And I can control the meeting content, in this case the PowerPoint, by actually going via the console in the slides. So these were the slides that we walked through just a moment ago. It's essentially saying this is Skype for Business. And just like you can do in your Skype for Business client, you can now, from the right tool, you can control the slides and the transitions to the slides. So that is the layout where you are in full mode of the content. So last part, if you are walking into a meeting and you would like to organize a meeting on the spot, first of all, there's a whole bunch of people that are not used yet to actually inviting the room to the meeting. So in this particular case, what we do there is we have this extra button. This extra button is invite the meeting. So if you have the invite the meeting, though, we are not having, like in the classic room systems that we have out there already, a workflow that we automatically invite or send an email to all the people that need to be invited. But in this particular case, we actually give you instructions on how to go to Outlook or how to go to Skype for Business and essentially get those people into the meeting, get the meeting room with the meeting that you want to organize. So that's the next button. Last button that we have here. The last button is very much around the walking into the room, not having scheduled anything, but still wanting to actually pull in other people. So in this particular case, I would actually go in here. I would go into a new meeting. I would start typing in the name. For example, in my case, I type in my alias, but I could have typed in as well my full name. So if I would do Albert, it comes up with all the Alberts that it finds here. If I do then K, then there is only a few that start with a K, and then I can select the name. And I can actually invite that person then, and it dials out to this particular person. So at this very moment, what comes in is an invite on my laptop. And immediately, by the way, it turns on video. Now we are seeing for a second that the video is coming in. The Lenovo camera is not as good as the Surface Book one or the Surface Pro one, so you can see a little bit more. So here we now have my my video in the meeting. This is adding participants. If I were to actually invite someone who is not on Skype for Business, I can actually also add a participant by actually dialing a phone number. So if I again would start dialing my phone number, and then it would actually be able to dial the phone number straight away. I will not give the last few digits of my cell phone, and it would actually be able to invite those people via the telephone as well. So to come back to the UX, there are 4 things that you can do. You can join a meeting with a one-touch join. So here we are in a one-touch join. It connects, it has all the people in there, and you can actually change the layout. So you can say, okay, I will have full video, or I will have content and people. So all those things you can change. So that is scenario 1. Scenario 2 is I can walk in, I can plug in the cable, and I can actually present that from my HDMI cable into the meeting. So next scenario is I can actually dial into a conference. It replaces my conference phone. So I can just dial my phone number, and at that very moment, it will dial out to the people that are there. So those are the scenarios that are available on this Rigel device that you have. With that, actually, is the user interface walkthrough. Let's actually talk a little bit more about what it actually takes to configure an account like this. So in this particular case, it's project Rigel Dog Food number 3. That is on our CorpNet, but we are now going to switch to Brian Ricks. He is one of our MVPs, and he has been extremely helpful because he has written a script that actually can help you a great deal in provisioning an account. So let's switch to Brian, and he's going to show you how to actually create an account in a Skype for Business environment, and how to effectively use that script that he has written. So Brian, welcome to our conference.
Great, thanks Albert, appreciate it. So what we have here is the ability to create the accounts that are needed within and to work for Project Rigel, as well as the Service Hub, all in a single script, with the design being to ingest common questions, things that you can answer as an administrator, and then it will set things up for you without having to know much about it. So it's designed to work for both on-premise as well as cloud. And in this demo, we're going to be just doing on-premise to kind of move things along. So with that, the script is right now a work in progress, and we're going to start with asking what and how we're doing. In this case, it's a Rigel, so we'll select that. And then because there is the common requirement of enterprises to have complete separation and delegation of rights, we have allowed the script to be a single script, but be run just for Active Directory administration, Exchange, or Skype administration, or all of the above, if in fact you have rights to everything. So that's where we're going to start. We're starting with we can do it all. And again, are we in the cloud or are we on-premise? In this case, we are doing an on-premise install. And then, because this could be a hybrid installation, even though you're doing it on-premise, we're doing partial in the cloud, we ask, is this something that we're going to be syncing? Because we need to wait for timing and things of that nature. In this case, we're not. So we'll say no and move along. It then asks for, captures our credentials that it will be running under. On this machine that I'm running this from, it needs to have all the remote PowerShell requirements for both Exchange, Skype, and AD, whether it be in the cloud or on-premise, depending on what you're doing. So in this case, I will enter my information, if I can type. Okay, and it then will ask what account you want to create. Because we're starting at the beginning, it's going to be making the Active Directory account. So in this case, we are going to do NIER@brightcomp.com and set a password. And with that, that'll create the account and retain that information along through the script. We then need to know what we actually want to give it. There's display names, there's functional names. We're going to call this the Rainier Room. And off we go. Now there are some various replications and timings that happen in the background, depending on how complex your Active Directory is, or if you're in the cloud, the script will take longer or shorter depending on where we're at. In this case, the Active Directory account is now created, and so now we move off to Exchange. And again, we're going to say we're on-prem, and we're going to retain and reuse the credentials we've already entered. At this point, because we're on premise, we don't know what your Exchange is or where you're at, that we're going to remote PowerShell to. So we enter in a server name of an Exchange server so that we can talk to a starting point and then branch out from there. So at this case, we're going to talk to Cindy and connect to remote PowerShell. This can take some time, depending on the status and state of your current RPS on your Exchange servers. But once it connects, we should be able to then pull up where do we want to physically put this mailbox. So because it's on premise, we could have potentially multiple databases, and we want to decide where that wants to go. So we're going to go ahead and put this in the resource mailbox, not the archive, create the account. Once it's created, we then have to switch it into being a room account. So as Albert was mentioning, this is a resource that is auto-accepting rooms, making things scheduled so that they appear up on our Rigel device. And it's important that not only is this account enabled so that we can log into it, but that it is created as an auto-accept room, and that's what we're doing. And this final part is setting additional features which you can or cannot do. We recommend you do. So we're going to say go ahead and make those settings, and off we go. So at this point, we have an Active Directory user, an Exchange mailbox that has been converted to a resource account and been enabled. And now we're going on to the Skype side. Again, we're on premise, and we're going to use the same credentials. And just like Exchange, we don't know where you're at. So we're going to have to type in a one of the servers in your pool, or if you're standard edition, it is your pool as well. So in this case, it's going to be Gwyneth, which again, a remote PowerShell will go to. Once it connects, it'll ask if there is a particular pool that we want to connect to, or if it's the pool is a standard edition, again, then that's what we just entered. And in my case, it's my pool. Okay, once that's entered, it creates the user account. Once that account's created, we can then go ahead and apply Enterprise Voice. Now, Enterprise Voice is optional, but as mentioned, a lot of the functionality of the conferencing experience is not going to be there if we don't do some sort of experience. So in our case, we're going to Enterprise Voice enable it, and now we have to enter what phone number we want that for. So we'll do 1-602-734-0242. We get back a validation to make sure that looks like we want it to do. We accept it, and at that point, we're done. That room is now able to be logged into. It will have complete functionality on the Rigel, and we're good to go.
Thank you, Brian. So actually, let's talk a little bit more about the whole admin experience around it, right? So one of the questions that's coming in broadcast at the moment is, hey, I'm actually now deploying thousands of rooms. Like, for example, in Microsoft, the first batch is about 5,000 rooms that we are deploying. So first of all, you get them shipped to you, and you will have to put them together. But there's software loaded on the Service Pro already that you essentially need to do 4 little steps. The steps are, the account that Brian created is you need to type in that SIP URI of the room, and you need to type in the password. You need to set the setting on whether you want to display the room name or not, and you need to then essentially say, okay, hey, attach the cables. So the attaching of the cables requires you to actually walk someone to the room and actually physically do that.
Yes.
All the rest actually can be done remotely. So there's an incredible amount of goodness that comes from being a Windows device. So Brian, we spoke about that at Ignite in great detail. There's a long session of Brian, 45-minute session of Brian, where he goes into great details about those. But for example, you can, via a monitoring server, via PowerShell, you can query whether all the devices are connected, what devices are connected. You can essentially enable remote desktop on every one of these machines. So this is not locked down for the admin, this is locked down for the end user. So in that particular case, you can remote desktoping, you do your remote diagnostics. You can set policies, and Brian called out at Ignite very clearly, okay, hey, this is not a server, this is a desktop. So the policies is a double-edged sword in that sense, because you need to make sure that you create a different group for your group policies for the devices than for the end users' PCs. So that's another aspect of it. And Brian, am I missing anything that you would say, okay, hey, there are aspects as well that really make it easy to actually roll out these systems and to monitor those systems? So remote PowerShell, the monitoring server integration, the remote desktop, what else?
Yeah, really it all comes down to the management experience is whatever your experience is today for both servers and clients in a kind of a hybrid mode of doing so, right? Because if you're using any of the System Center products, whether it be Configuration Manager, Operations Manager, all of those can be managed and monitored and those policies pushed down so that these devices are remote controlled just like any other server or PC is within the environment. The registry is a registry. The applications, the firewalls, everything is identical to what you deal with today, making the learning curve very short in getting a management experience on this.
Yeah, that's awesome. Now, the other aspect of it is not only Windows, it's also Skype for Business. So a question came in, for example, at the broadcast. Hey, just a second ago was all nice because you have 4 participants in your meeting. What if you have 5 or 6 or maybe 100 people, right? So at that very moment, what is important to understand, it's just like Skype for Business. The 4 people that you see in focus on the screen are the last 4 active speakers, unless you actively lock a speaker. So that's an aspect that is just like all the others appear effectively in the standing row. So that is that little row at the bottom. One aspect that we showed at Ignite as well is that if you would have a roundtable cable, I know that it's not your favorite camera, but it is quite unique. It actually would have a panoramic view. Another question that comes in is like, hey, if I now have all those legacy devices, I have my old Cisco stuff, and so I still want to use that. That panoramic view is also important, as we showed at Ignite, because we also spoke about at the last Skype Meeting Broadcast that I participated in. It actually shows up in the panoramic view. So you can really see the sitting row of the telepresence system on the other side, inside the meeting. It focuses on the active speaker. So it is Skype for Business, and it uses all those features of Skype for Business in the meeting as well. So, and that video interrupt service actually makes the solution complete, right? So if you are talking about integrating into existing systems, that is a very important aspect as well. Another question that comes up is, hey, I am not using Skype for Business telephony. Do I then still need a phone? Well, you still can call people via the internet, right? So you can call those if they are other Skype for Business users. So let's be very clear about that. There is there's a lot of Skype for Business users across the world. I do not know if we ever disclosed how many, but it's a lot of them.
It is a lot.
And therefore, you can actually, once you are federated, you can type in that name. So I can actually, if I invite people, so I go to a new meeting, and I would go to Brian, for example, then I would type in his SIP URI here, and it would resolve, and you are able to talk to him. If you, of course, do not have Skype for Business hooked up to your telephony system, then you would need, for phone calls, still another telephone. Another question that is coming in is, and that's actually also our call to action. How do I get this?
How do we get this? Yes, that's been the #1 question, which is a good sign because I think a lot of people have been waiting for this type of solution to get it out there in the market. So the way it works is that we work with distribution partners, and they take the Surface Pro and they load the SRS software onto the system, and then they bundle it together with the SmartDock, and then they provide a single part number to the reseller who can then provide it to the end user. And also we're working with those distribution partners to create unique bundles. Like I said, like the huddle room, starting around the $2,000 area, extending up to the large room around $3,000. So to give an example, we have 2 partners that are coming out of the gate. In Europe, we have Mavericks, which is specialty AV distributor under the Tech Data umbrella. They'll be providing units there in the European region. And then here in the US, Cynix is coming on board and will also be a partner for those resellers that are out there.
Those are parties actually that people do not usually interact with.
Yes.
But let's use as a rule of thumb, wherever you can buy Logitech stuff, you can buy this.
You will be able to buy a SmartDock SRS solution. Yeah, so if you're a reseller out there, those are the places to go get it. If you're an end user you can actually go to logitech.com/SmartDock, and there's a little link on there. You can click, put your name in line for the units. They will start arriving out there in the market in November. We've already had a really amazing amount of demand, so maybe now it might be about, if you're getting in line today, it may be early December when you're getting the units, but really excited about that. Both different ways to go through it. Talk to your local reseller, or go to logitech.com/SmartDock to put your name in line and be contacted about the solution.
Cool. Yeah, one more thing on that one actually. So Logitech is the partner, of course, that we featured here in this broadcast. They are the first to ship. There will be other Skype Room Systems available from Crestron and Polycom later, but you actually need to look at this as a whole portfolio, right? Yes. So we spoke about the devices. In that, I also want to give a shout out to Service Hub, because if you're looking at the devices across the board, right? Mm-hmm. So if you truly want to have a content creation device and you want to be able to do inking, this one, despite that it's a Surface Pro inside, it does not do inking. Yeah. So you actually go to Service Hub if you want to do this creation and you want to run Windows apps, Windows 10 apps, and those type of things. That is what is the place for a Service Hub. Of course, Service Hub does also Skype meetings, same user experience, same one-touch join, and together with the Skype Room Systems, it makes a more broad portfolio. If you have old stuff, take a look at the Polycom Cloud Video Interop service that they are doing, so the Real Connect for Office 365, and then you see that how everything is coming together. So with that, I would like to thank you for coming, and thank you all for watching. This is the Skype Room Systems. Make your reservation now and be first in line to try it out yourself.